everyone, Shane here from Keep It Simple Safety. Welcome to 5 Minutes on Safety. Today we're going to talk about first aid in the workplace. So this is a kind of very varied topic depending on your business, but we'll try to take it from a risk management approach, and that way you'll be able to see how it applies to no matter what business you're in. So first aid covers everything from, do you need a full plan for your safety as far as first aid goes, what kind of first aid kit you need, who do you need trained, all of that kind of stuff comes under first aid in the workplace. There certainly isn't one size fits all. There are many variations on this. So let's take it from a simple approach. So the way I always try to tell people to look at it is think about what, from a risk management point of view. So for example, if your office is a 5-minute walk from the emergency room in the local hospital, then really your requirement for anything other than knowing where the emergency room is pretty low. You don't need to have highly trained first aiders. You don't need to have extensive first aid kits. Your risk level is much lower because you've got real, true emergency services just right there at your doorstep. Opposite to that, if you are working out in the middle of nowhere, as I have in previous positions, where your nearest emergency medical help is via the Royal Flying Doctor Service, and that's 5 hours as a minimum, then you need to consider things like having a fully trained paramedic on site at all times and things like that, so you can manage that risk. The other side of this is what kind of environment you work in. So if you work in a straight office, for example, and your actual risks from the work that you do are quite low, then again, you need less emphasis on your first aid. If you're working out in a construction environment and there are power tools and falls and all kinds of things that can happen, then obviously your risk is higher that you're going to require first aid at some point. And so this factors into not only how many people or whether you need people trained for first aid, but also what kind of first aid kit you're going to carry. If you're in a construction environment, for example, a car first aid kit is not sufficient. You need to have something that can handle the kind of injuries that you might come across in that environment. So whilst this is not going to be a definitive guide, this is more of a how do I assess my needs for first aid in my business. And the third factor is, what kind of workforce do I have? Are they all young and fit and healthy? Or is my workforce aging, or do they have special needs? You have to take those factors into account too. If you work in it's a fact of life. If your workforce is, in their 50s and 60s, then maybe you should be looking at having one of the automated defibrillators on site, because those things save lives. And if your workforce is of that age where heart attacks and things like that happen, then that may not be a work related first aid requirement, but I think that if that's something that you need to look at, then those automated defibrillators are amazing. They're not the cheapest things in the world, but they are very, very good. They will tell you exactly what to do in the emergency circumstances. Same goes if you're a sporting facility. So if you're a golf club or a bowls club or even a holiday park, and the people, not just your workforce, but the people who come to use your facilities, you have to take those things into consideration as well, because providing first aid, whilst it starts off being about your workforce, if you operate in a public environment, then you need to consider what other options you need to have available. What's your emergency plan for somebody who has a heart attack on your golf course? So you need to think about it in terms of where am I in relation to the help that I could get. So am I close, am I far? What kind of environment do I work in? Is it high risk? Is it low risk? What kind of injuries might happen in the environment that I work in? What kind of workforce do I have? What kind of risks do they naturally have? And whether you're dealing with the public or whether you're entirely a private organisation. And so if you take all of those things into account, then you can do a risk assessment against what requirements you need for first aid. As a general rule, if you're running a construction business or a manufacturing business or something along those lines, then I would always just say 10% of your workforce needs to have first aid training, but that's just a rule of thumb. Different states have some different variations on that depending on how high risk your environment is, but it's best to do a proper risk assessment and use some of the tools that are out there to try and figure out exactly what you do need. Because just training some people on first aid doesn't mean that you've covered off all of your risks when it comes to first aid. Or just putting in a nice first aid kit doesn't mean that you've covered off all of those things. So think of it in a more holistic approach, and then you'll be able to make sure that you've covered off everything that you need. Well, thanks for watching. And as always, there are 3 ways we can help you right now if you need it. Subscribe to this channel. There's always new videos coming out about a whole variety of different topics. I've got some great client-based stuff coming out soon. Join our Small Business Safety Facebook group. You can ask questions, see more content on there, and interact with other small businesses and find out how they do things. And thirdly, get our 7-step guide to creating your own safety compliance system in your business. It includes things like first aid, risk management, how to do it all. It's all there. It'll either be in the link below or you can jump on our website and grab it from there. Have a great day.